Chapter 1. Lost in the Triangle of Silence. Sunlight dripped like honey through the canopy of Hoia Baciu Forest, dappling the path with golden patches. Anya, her blonde hair pulled back in a braid, swatted playfully at a butterfly with its wings painted in impossible shades of blue. Beside her, Ellen, her younger sister, skipped ahead, her laughter echoing through the ancient trees. "This place is magical, Anya," Ellen exclaimed, her voice bouncing off the gnarled branches. "Like something out of a fairy tale?" Anya smiled, her heart swelling with the joy of their summer adventure in Transylvania. Transylvanian fairy tales, though, often carried a darker edge, whispers of haunted castles and mysterious forests like the one they were currently exploring. But Anya, ever the pragmatist, dismissed such notions as mere folklore. "Just a forest, Ellen," she replied, "albeit a beautiful one." They continued their trek, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. The forest floor, carpeted with fallen leaves, hushed their footsteps. The silence, however, was not complete. A symphony of unseen creatures chirped and buzzed, a constant, low hum that seemed to vibrate in their bones. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows that stretched like skeletal fingers, the forest transformed. The golden light dimmed, replaced by an eerie green glow emanating from the deeper woods. The playful chirps morphed into unsettling croaks and rustles, sending shivers down Anya's spine. "Maybe we should turn back," Ellen suggested, her voice small. Anya hesitated. They were deeper in the forest than they had planned, but she hated admitting defeat. "Nonsense," she said, forcing a lightness she didn't feel. "We'll just find a clearing and camp for the night. It'll be an adventure." But the forest seemed to conspire against them. The once familiar path vanished, swallowed by the thickening undergrowth. The towering trees, once majestic, now loomed menacingly, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal hands. Panic gnawed at the edges of Anya's mind. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. A low moan, like the wind sighing through a graveyard, echoed through the trees. Ellen whimpered, clinging to Anya's arm. "Lost," Anya whispered, the word tasting like ash in her mouth. As the last rays of sunlight faded, plunging the forest into an inky blackness, a chilling realization dawned on Anya. The warnings about the Triangle of Silence weren't mere superstition. They were trapped, lost in a place where shadows danced with secrets and the whispers of the unknown carried on the wind. Suddenly, a flicker of light pierced the darkness ahead, drawing their attention like moths to a flame. Anya and Ellen exchanged a hesitant glance, fear battling curiosity in their eyes. With a deep breath, Anya took Ellen's hand and stepped forward, towards the unknown light, towards the heart of the enigma known as Hoia Baciu Forest. Chapter 2. The Glowing Orb and the Clearing. Branches snagged at their clothes. Thorns ripped at their skin. But Anya pressed on, propelled by a desperate hope that the light meant safety. Ellen clung to her arm, her body trembling, her breaths shallow and quick. The forest pressed in on them, the darkness whispering secrets in the rustle of unseen leaves. Then, abruptly, the trees thinned, and the forest floor gave way to a wide clearing bathed in an ethereal green glow. The oppressive silence that had followed them vanished, replaced by a low hum that vibrated in their bones. In the center of the clearing, pulsating with an otherworldly rhythm, hung a ball of light, its emerald glow casting long, distorted shadows. Anya's breath caught in her throat. Fear, sharp and primal, clawed at her, urging her to turn and flee. Yet, the light held an undeniable allure, a promise of warmth and refuge in the encroaching darkness. Curiosity, like a small, insistent flame, flickered within her fear. Ellen whimpered, burying her face in Anya's shoulder. "Anya, I'm scared." "Me too," Anya admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But we have to stay together. Come on." With each step closer, the light intensified, revealing intricate patterns that swirled across its surface like living vines. The hum grew louder, resonating through their very beings, a sensation both exhilarating and terrifying. The air around the orb shimmered, rippling like heat waves, and a prickling sensation danced across Anya's skin. As they reached the edge of the clearing, the orb pulsed with renewed vigor. The pulsations grew faster, the light brighter, until it filled the entire clearing, blinding them momentarily. When their vision cleared, their hearts lurched in unison. The orb was no longer just a ball of light. It had transformed, shimmering and swirling, revealing a swirling vortex of energy, a portal into the unknown. The emerald light pulsed from within, beckoning, promising. What? Anya couldn't tear her gaze away. The fear remained, a cold fist in her stomach, but it was overshadowed by a sense of awe, a fascination with the impossible unfolding before them. The portal pulsed again, and for a fleeting moment, Anya saw glimpses within, swirling colors, strange shapes, figures moving in an alien landscape. Then, just as abruptly, the vision vanished, leaving only the mesmerizing portal. Ellen tugged at Anya's sleeve, her voice barely a whisper. Anya, what is it? Anya had no answer. The forest, the fear, the darkness, all faded away as she stared at the portal, her mind reeling with questions, her heart pounding with a mix of terror and exhilaration. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, leaving only the undeniable presence of the impossible, and the silent question hanging heavy in the air. Did they dare step through? Chapter 3. Encounter with the Echoes. The swirling portal pulsed once more, then shimmered, solidifying into a shimmering gateway framed by swirling tendrils of emerald energy. Anya, her breath caught in her throat, watched in stunned silence as three figures emerged from the light. Tall and slender, they moved with an eerie grace, their smooth, gray skin reflecting the green glow of the portal. Their large, black eyes, devoid of iris or pupil, seemed to pierce into Anya's very soul. Fear, cold and sharp, shot through her, making her legs tremble. Ellen, hiding behind Anya's back, whimpered, her terror palpable. But before Anya could react, a wave of warmth washed over her, pushing away the fear, replacing it with a sense of calm and understanding. The figures weren't speaking, yet somehow, Anya knew they were communicating, their thoughts flowing into hers like a gentle stream. Fear not, one of them projected, its voice a thought rather than a sound, resonating within Anya's mind. We come in peace. Anya, surprised at her ability to understand, hesitantly nodded. Who are you? We are the Echoes, the voice continued, explorers from a distant future, drawn here to study our past. Anya's mind reeled. Time travel? Future explorers? The concept seemed impossible, yet the presence of these beings, the portal, the very fabric of reality seemed to bend around them, defying logic. But why here? She managed to project back, the question forming in her mind. This place holds an echo, the echo replied, its thoughts shifting, revealing images of a future Earth ravaged by climate change, its cities crumbling, its oceans choked. An echo of a past that must be understood to change our fate. Ellen, her fear subsiding, emerged from behind Anya's back, her eyes wide with wonder. You can see the future? She asked, her voice a thought projected into the minds of the Echoes. We see possibilities, the echo replied, but the future is not set in stone. It is shaped by the choices we make today. The words resonated deeply within Anya. The echo's message, though cryptic, held a weight that settled heavy in her heart. They were not just witnesses, but potential saviors, returning to the past to nudge humanity onto a better path. What can we do? She asked, a newfound determination solidifying in her mind. The echo's thoughts shifted, revealing flashes of sustainable practices, technological advancements, and a renewed connection with nature. Anya felt a surge of hope, a sense that even in the face of a bleak future, there was power in action, in collective responsibility. But before she could delve deeper, the clearing began to shimmer. the portal pulsating with renewed energy. The echo's minds brushed against hers, a wave of gratitude and farewell. Remember, one final thought echoed, the future is yours to shape. Choose wisely. And then, with a flash of emerald light, the echoes in the portal vanished, leaving Anya and Ellen alone in the clearing. The silence now filled not with fear, but with the weight of a future entrusted to their hands. The impossible encounter, forever etched in their minds, had planted a seed of hope, a call to action that would forever change the course of their lives. Chapter 4. Secrets and Revelations. Silence settled over the clearing, heavy with the echoes of the encounter. Anya and Ellen stood frozen, the memory of the shimmering portal and the enigmatic beings replaying in their minds. The gravity of the echo's message pressed down on them, a stark vision of a future Earth ravaged by their own inaction. They said the future isn't set in stone, Ellen whispered, her voice barely a tremor in the stillness. That we can change it. Anya nodded, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. The echoes of the future they had glimpsed, the desolate landscapes, the despairing faces, filled her with a surge of resolve. They couldn't ignore this warning, not after witnessing the consequences firsthand. But the vastness of the task threatened to overwhelm them. What could they, two teenagers from Sweden, do against the tide of humanity's mistakes? The echoes hadn't offered a roadmap, just a desperate plea for guidance, a hope that their ancestors could learn from their mistakes. But how? Anya asked, her voice echoing with doubt. What can we do? As if in answer, a wave of images flooded their minds, glimpses of the future the echoes sought to avoid. They saw rising sea levels swallowing coastal cities, wildfires raging across scorched landscapes, and mass migrations driven by famine and drought. The images were stark, raw, and filled with a desperate plea. But amidst the devastation, Anya also saw flickers of hope. She saw resilient communities rebuilding sustainable lives, technological advancements harnessing clean energy, and a renewed connection to nature blossoming amongst the ruins. The echoes, it seemed, weren't just sharing their future, but offering a vision of an alternative, a path not yet taken. Anya looked at Ellen, their eyes meeting in a silent understanding. The echoes had entrusted them with a burden, but also a gift, the knowledge of what lay ahead, and the power to choose a different path. The responsibility was immense, the task daunting, but the alternative, ignoring the warnings and allowing the future to unfold as the echoes had seen, was unthinkable. We start small, Anya said, her voice firming with conviction. We educate ourselves. We share what we learned. We inspire others to make choices that lead towards a more sustainable future. Ellen nodded, her eyes gleaming with determination. We can't change everything overnight, but we can start a ripple effect, a wave of change that builds with each small action. The enormity of their mission still loomed, but a spark of hope had ignited within them. The echo's message, though bleak, had also shown them the power of human action, the ability to rewrite the narrative, to choose a different future. Anya and Ellen, two ordinary teenagers from Sweden, now held within them the echoes of a future, and the responsibility to shape it into one of hope and resilience. Chapter 5. Back to reality, but forever changed. Dawn crept into the clearing, painting the forest in soft hues of gold and pink. The portal was gone, leaving behind only a faint shimmer in the air and a lingering echo of the echo's thoughts. Anya and Ellen stood in its absence, the weight of their encounter settling into their bones. They were no longer just sisters on vacation. They were carriers of a secret, a burden, and a spark of hope for the future. Their journey back was arduous, guided by the rising sun and an unwavering resolve. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs, exhaustion weighed on their limbs, but the memory of the echoes fueled their steps. Finally, they stumbled out of the forest, blinking at the familiar sight of their village nestled in the valley below. News of their disappearance had spread like wildfire. Relief washed over their family and friends as they embraced them, their faces etched with worry. Yet, As Anya recounted their ordeal, the tale of the glowing orb and the mysterious figures was met with skepticism and concern. Lost in the woods, imagining things, their uncle chuckled, attributing their visions to fatigue and overactive imaginations. Their parents, though worried, held on to the belief that their daughters had simply embellished a harmless adventure. Disbelief stung, but Anya and Ellen knew the truth. The echo's message resonated within them, a constant reminder of their responsibility. They couldn't force others to believe, but they could lead by example. So, they started small. They voraciously devoured books on climate change and sustainability, their room becoming a library of green solutions. They organized talks at school, sharing their experience and the echo's warnings. Even if met with laughter or dismissal, they joined environmental groups, planting trees, cleaning rivers, and advocating for renewable energy. Their actions, though seemingly insignificant, sparked a ripple effect. Friends started asking questions, families adopted greener practices, and the local community began discussing the future with renewed urgency. Anya and Ellen, the girls who once dreamt of fairy tales, became unlikely catalysts for change, their voices carrying the echoes of a future they refused to accept. Years passed, and the world continued its dance with progress and destruction. But amidst the chaos, a spark of hope flickered. Sustainable practices gained momentum, new technologies emerged, and a collective consciousness towards environmental responsibility began to bloom. Anya and Ellen, now young adults, watched this change with pride. The future they glimpsed in the clearing wasn't set in stone. They had proven that even the smallest actions, fueled by a shared purpose, could rewrite the narrative. The echo's words, once a burden, became their guiding light, a reminder that even in the face of doubt and disbelief, the future remained theirs to shape. Theirs, and everyone else who chose to listen, to learn, and to act. The echoes, though unseen, were not forgotten. Their message, whispered through the wind and carried by the actions of two ordinary girls, continued to echo, a testament to the power of collective responsibility and the unwavering hope for a brighter tomorrow. The end. And so ends our story, a fictional journey inspired by the whispers and mysteries of Hoia Baciu Forest. While the echoes in their portal remain products of our imagination, they were born from the countless tales of unexplained phenomena reported from this captivating place. From the eerie silence of the Triangle of Silence, to the unsettling sights and sounds, Hoia Baciu continues to spark curiosity and fuel speculation. Whether the stories are rooted in reality or fueled by folklore, they serve as a reminder of the unknown that surrounds us, the vastness of possibility that lies beyond what we can see and explain. This fictional narrative was just one way to explore the potential threads woven into the fabric of these reported experiences. But the true story of Hoia Baciu Forest, and the mysteries it holds, remains open to interpretation, waiting for you to discover your own conclusions. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the unknown, please consider subscribing to our channel for more stories that explore the boundaries between reality and imagination. We delve into the world's unsolved mysteries, unexplained phenomena, and the whispers of the extraordinary that linger in the shadows. Remember, the future, like the secrets of Hoia Baciu, is not set in stone. What stories will you choose to tell? What mysteries will you dare to explore? The echoes of possibility await.